Hey everybody, welcome to the launch of OBM Unscripted. Today we're going to talk about the importance of finding your tribe. We all met as a result of an online course, and that is how OBM Unscripted began. So Maniba, I'm going to throw it over to you to start off our call today. Tell me a little bit about why community for OBMs is so important to you.
For me, I think community kind of makes or breaks my work rhythm. As you both know, I've probably Slack messaged you way too many times sometimes. Because sometimes when you're in an online space, you're working from your home office or wherever you choose to work from, it can be a little bit isolating, especially if you've transitioned from, say, a corporate work environment coming into now a work from home environment. You're kind of used to bouncing ideas off of other people, that bit of a social aspect. Sometimes you need a little bit of extra juice to get your brain running on what to do on a project. So having an online community that you can tap into that is just one Slack message away, one phone call away, one email away, it's super helpful. And for me, it's helped me not just in my client work, but it's helped me grow my business. As you both know, I know I've come to both of you with some really fun questions about sometimes it's potential clients that a discovery call probably went wrong or maybe it didn't go wrong, but I needed that reality check. So for me, it's really, really important to have a sounding board that I can go to.
Absolutely. What about you, Christy?
Yeah, I agree. I think community it pushes me in a way that I wouldn't push myself if it was just me. And being able to have like outside support and people that are doing the same things that I'm doing, similar things, different businesses maybe, but same clients and that sort of thing. It is helpful to know that you can talk to other people that are going through the same things that you're going through, maybe trying to brainstorm, work through something, or you can see their successes and it pushes you even farther with your own ideas. And so if they can do it, well, why can't I do it? And for me, it's been instrumental in my business growth for sure.
For me, finding the two of you has been great for accountability because if I say I'm going to do something, I know when we all get together and have our little talk once a week, I better have done something leading to that goal. So the accountability portion has been fantastic. And just the fact that I can take 15 or 30 minutes of y'all's time to work through a problem, or if I'm second guessing myself on something, just knowing I can reach out to the two of you, you'll pop me into a schedule has been just extraordinary for me getting things done and moving forward.
I think for me, it's really interesting because when I started my journey into this, I was of the mindset where I'm like, I'm just gonna keep my head down. I gotta do my work. I gotta do my thing. I don't have time to talk to other people. Like, focus, 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 keep going. But then after I met you guys, I think that's really what opened the door to me to the possibilities of having an online community to tap into. I've always been a bit of a lone wolf when I'm working. Like, I would talk to people in a corporate environment, I'd be polite, but when it came to work, I felt like I had to just focus myself and just cut out all the distractions. Don't talk to anybody, get your work done, head down, and just go forward. And that's the mentality I brought in initially into my online business. But then I sort of warmed up to the idea of connecting with other people and be like, wait, but they're going through the same thing I am. They're seeing very similar challenges. Maybe they can provide some kind of an insight that I haven't thought of yet. And that's exactly what happened, is that when I run problems by either one of you, you give me like a different perspective that I didn't think of. And I think it's made me better professionally, and it's also helped me grow as a person and an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I agree. We're all coming from different perspectives. We all have different experiences. We all have different just ways of looking at things. All of our glasses, our rose-colored glasses are tinted a different way and or hued, however you want to put it. But I think we refine each other and we help each other refine our businesses too. And so I know for me, I'm on like 7.0 of my business, so it's like constantly iterations and evolving. But I think that's what having a community and having you guys has helped me to do is just refine who I am as a business owner, who I want to help, and then building that out in a way that works for me, but also helps me to get the right clients. So I think it's instrumental, like you guys said, in having other people that you can, that are close enough to you that you can text at a moment's notice or, hop on a Zoom call and say, hey, I'm a hot mess today. I need you to walk me through this. And I cannot say enough about having people that you can talk to and work things through. It's absolutely vital for pushing your business forward, but just not just your business, but yourself too. I mean, I have grown.
And Christy, I don't know if you know this, but before we all came together as a group, I basically cold emailed Maniba based on a question that she had asked during the course. And I thought, that girl is going through the same thing I'm going through right now. I need to talk to her. So I cold emailed her, said, um, let's talk, let's be friends, and that's kind of how she and I connected. So I was thrilled when we all came together as a group because my background is real estate. Her background has been VA. Your background has been strategy. I can pull from the best parts of you guys to make my business even better. And it all came from reaching out in a cold email to start how all of this went. My advice to future OBMs is don't be afraid to cold email somebody if you think they have the answer to what you're going through, or maybe even reach out and say, hey, I would love to learn from you, and take that 15 minutes, and get to know somebody, and then you've already made that connection. So now I know I can send businesses that might not be a good fit for me to either one of you, and vice versa. Be like, oh, you know what? I know somebody who may have the bandwidth for you. Let me put you in touch with them. Even that referral business between all of us, I think, has been a great help.
And what a cool thing to be able to tell your clients that I have a think tank behind me, basically, because it's additional expertise that you can tap into. Not just if you're stuck. Sometimes you just want to brainstorm and be like, I know that, that we can have a more creative solution to this. Or maybe, what do you think of this idea? Or, hey, I was doing something else and I thought of this. And how many times have we done that? And then, you come
Absolutely.
together and we brainstorm and it turns into something so amazing that we end up creating.
So, what would you guys say the hardest part about being an online business manager or an online business professional, however you want to? We all have our own names or titles, but what would you say the hardest aspect of having an online business? What's the hardest aspect of that for you?
Promoting myself. I absolutely know what I'm capable of, but if I'm unsure of the technology, then I start to doubt myself. Even though it's an easy learn, I may be like, I don't want to get in front of a camera, or I don't want to cold call this person, or even if it's a warm referral, I have that second where I'm like, can I do this? And then I realize, you know what? I offer a fantastic service. So I have this struggle in my brain, and then I can go ahead and pitch when I need to pitch. So that's really the hardest thing, is pitching myself without that imposter syndrome knocking in my head.
I think we all have that. I've been doing what I've been doing for 30 years, and I still have that thought, who's going to listen to me? Why would they listen to me? but I've been there. I've done that, as we all have, and we all have our special niches or niches, however you want to put it, but we all have our own special area of expertise. And I say throw that aside and just keep moving forward, because we know what we can do. Have confidence in yourself. And this is me talking to me. So, yeah, just have confidence in yourself and do what you do. And sometimes we do have to have that talk with ourselves and just break through that barrier, because we know what we know. And honestly, somebody told me, and it was super helpful, you don't have to know it all. You just have to know more than your client, because everybody's at different stages. And so there are people out there that you can help in whatever stage you're currently in, as far as like your knowledge base and your experience, because there are people out there that don't have that knowledge or that experience, and you'll be able to help them. And so that was very helpful for me, making the transition from in person for 30 years to the online space, where I know what I'm doing, but it is like transactionally, it's different, because I'm not in person with them and I can't like put my hands on the files and that sort of thing. So it is a mindset, but yeah, break through that and just have those talks with yourself and then just keep walking forward. Yeah.
I think you kind of hit on something that got me thinking on a side tangent, as I do, about the way of working. And I think that kind of ties back to what's been most challenging for me working in the online space is switching off. Because when you work in a day job, quote unquote, outside of the house, you go there, your body is there, you're doing the thing, and then you leave. You clock out, or whatever it is, you leave work there. Yeah, you're kind of thinking about it, but you're not doing the work. But in an online space, it's typically from a home office, or maybe your kitchen table, or somewhere in your personal living space that this is also now your working space. So I find myself sometimes I'll be cooking dinner and then I'll think of something and I said, oh my gosh, hold on. Stove goes on low. I'm running to my computer to go do the thing. And then next thing I know, it's like 15, 20 minutes have gone by. And I was like, I didn't mean to sit for this long. So for me, switching off is probably the most challenging, because it's in my space and I don't have that delineation from, okay, now this is a work thing, this is a personal thing, now this is where you switch off. Because it's not just the thing of, oh, if I change out of my work clothes and I get into my pajamas, I'm going to be fine. Or when I start the day, I get into work clothes and I put some shoes on and then I get in front of my computer. So it feels like those mental cues, and I've tried so many, they just don't seem to work for me. My brain has a mind of its own. It literally is a mind of its own. It's my own brain.
Yeah.
And I'll do things like that. So that kind of ties into being, and I know we can have a whole other episode on all of these topics that I'm bringing up, but selecting the clients that you work with, enforcing your own boundaries, and how that works with your personal values and your business style and your philosophy on how you conduct yourself in an online space. There's just so many things that ties into that. But getting back to the main point, as I tend to drift off, is that's been the most challenging for me, is separating work time from personal time, because it's all in the same space and it kind of blurs together quite often.
Yeah, I don't think people think about that, because back in the day, back in my day, we had 30-minute commutes. So we had that time in the car to like let work go and then like transitioned into, okay, I'm going home now. I get to see family. I get to do, whatever, relax, eat, whatever. And we don't really have that when we work at home. And you brought up a point. Boundaries are super important. For me, I have a space, and when I'm in this space, it's work mode. But when I'm not in this space, there's no work, and it's hard. Sometimes I skew that line a little bit, but for the most part, when I'm off, end of day, I'm done. And it is more of a habitual thing. It's a habit that you have to create, and then you have to remind yourself, nope, nope, I'm done for the day. That's hard. But once you get that down, it's so well worth it.
Yeah, I had to create a commute for myself. So before I get to work in the morning, I make my coffee, I have some water, and then I go on a 30-minute walk around my neighborhood before I even sit down to start working. And now I'm starting to do that at night too. When I am done working, I go for another 30-minute walk. There's just something about getting my body back in motion that helps my brain kind of power down from the day. And then I keep a notebook that's outside of the office where if things come up, it goes on the notebook so I can tackle it tomorrow. And it is not an easy thing because sometimes I'm just like Maniba, where I'm just like, it'll take me 5 minutes and an hour later, I'm still in front of that computer. So forming habits, I think, and trying to really respect your own boundaries is very difficult when you are working from home.
You said a notebook. I have my phone and I will text myself. And then when I get on my computer, it shows as an unread text. And so I can't have the bubbles. The bubbles drive me crazy. So I check it and it reminds me and I put it in my ClickUp. And that's how I do it. Know thyself, right? And figure out what works.
Exactly.
For me, that's always changed. I can show you a stack of notebooks that I swore was going to solve my problems and it's going to do it. And they're sitting in the corner. I mean, I got one of those reusable, erasable notebooks and I got the pens and I got the case and I'm like, this is going to help me. But why do I still have 50 post-it notes all over my desk? And I probably haven't read them after I wrote it. So, it's really finding a way. And because of that, that leads my brain to think that, okay, maybe if I just do it when I think of it, I won't have this pile up of notes. But in a way, it always seems to come back to having that pile up of notes and random scribblings everywhere. If there was a solution that quote unquote works for me, it's a project management tool. It's ClickUp. Like that ClickUp has to be there as my second functioning brain. Because if it's not in ClickUp, it's going to be in a pile of notes. And I don't even know when I'm going to go look at those notes again. But with ClickUp, it prompts me that, no, this is a task that was assigned. Now do the thing. And then it's like, okay, and there's something very satisfying, almost a gamified version where you click it off and it's the cha-ching sound. It's cool. And I know Monday.com does that too. They have the dancing llamas when you finish a task. But for me, those kind of cues actually help keep me on task.
I struggled with that too, where I had notebooks and I had lists of stuff and I had post-its. And you know what I ended up doing? I ended up incorporating that into my end of day. So I would put the post-its, I would get a note and I'm looking at 3 right now. And then I've got my notebook over here. So when I'm doing things, it's like a to-do or whatever, and I'm working on client work, I'll just make a note like what Lena was talking about. When it pops in your head, just make a note. And now, though, at the end of the day, I've incorporated it into where I stack up all my post-it notes and I get my notebook of whatever I've jotted down and I put that in ClickUp as my end of day, and it gets rid of the post-its. It gets it in my second brain, which is ClickUp as well, and it clears the clutter. So that's what I have figured out that works for me. I can still do the post-it notes, but then I accumulate at the end of day and throw them all in ClickUp.
And there's something so satisfying to me about a pen and paper that helps it stay in my brain even before it goes in digitally. So if I've written it down and then gotten distracted and have forgotten about it, it still kind of sits in my brain as this nagging to do before I can get it into where it needs to go. So, yeah.
Writing stuff down is actually scientifically proven that it does help you remember things, and it helps you to solidify that item or whatever it is that you've written down. So I'm with you. There's something about pen to paper. I am moving digitally. It took me forever to go from calendar to ClickUp digital. I still have my calendars, but it's only for meetings. That way I can just look and I don't have to be in ClickUp all day. But there is something about pen to paper that mentally it sticks, and I almost feel bad for the next generation that's going to be primarily digital, which we're quickly moving into that direction. So they're going to miss out on all the mental awesomeness, I guess, of writing things down and actually remembering based on writing it down. Yeah.
I think I must have the mind of a squirrel because I'll write it down and I'll go back and half the time I can't even read what I wrote. It doesn't stick. So, you know, that's the beauty of finding a system that works with your brain because there's just something about it. And once you find it and it feels safe enough for you to just expand into that system, it will work. I do have days where, ClickUp is my system, but sometimes I'll find myself writing stuff down. I don't know why. I'm not going to go back and look at it. Like I should have just stuck it in ClickUp to start with, but it's a back and forth. It's a fun thing living with your brain sometimes.
That's kind of another thing about community is tech. We can ask each other what's working for you or what has worked for your clients versus me trying to fit them into something that works for me. What do you use if somebody can only, think in spreadsheets or if somebody can only think in visuals, and just kind of brainstorming the tech that each of us know and then brainstorming how that client can use it. Oh my gosh, you guys have been fabulous at helping figure out some stuff. And especially, and Christy and I did this when we did a audit of each other's businesses early on, is she knew my brain speaks Trello more so than ClickUp. So she audited my business and gave me back an audit in Trello, which my brain was like, I understand now. I'll do it. So, and it really is. It was part of that skill about listening to your client and how their brain works and where they're sticking stuff that they always go to. And that lesson was super valuable because just because Trello works for me and ClickUp works for you, which they're similar, but there's still features along the way that my brain will go to in Trello and not ClickUp. Trello still works for me right now. But it's just having somebody else with different tech knowledge and different clients who have used that tech that also help me brainstorm the best tools for them.
So we're talking about communities and guessing other people are thinking this or have this question as well. How many communities are too many communities? Like, do we have to be everywhere in all the places, or is it best to just pick and choose the ones that you feel like will push you forward? I know my answer, but I'm curious what you guys think.
I think I'm all about do what works for you. Some people thrive with social interaction and that gets their juices flowing and that they need different interactions with different groups of people and they maybe that's how they start their day, maybe that's how they end their, that's if that works for you, great. Me personally, I am quickly drained by social interaction. I know people usually have the term extroverted introvert. I'm kind of that way where I'm great when I'm talking to people that I'm familiar with and comfortable with, and I can go out and meet people and everything's great. But my social battery starts to run really low. Sometimes it depletes very fast. So I have to be very selective about the people I engage with and who I want to interact with and the value of being in that type of a group. Because, I mean, when you're in the online workspace, naturally, as your business grows, you start to get bombarded with offers. Come join our mastermind. Come join our networking group. We've got the best women only networking group. We've got the best VA group. We've got this, and it's great. And if someone finds community within those groups, that's awesome. I would also encourage people to try these groups because a lot of them do have trial periods or, you can go in for free and you don't necessarily have to pay. Try them out, see if that's where you fit. But I feel like for me, now that I've kind of found my safe group, reluctant to go out and try other groups. Not to say I don't do it. I actually was on a discovery call the other day with another networking group. It was a paid thing. I was referred to this by another client saying, hey, if you join this group, it's great. There's a lot of high-powered individuals as part of this group. And, there's $1,000 entry fee and whatever. Okay, I did the discovery call. Cool. And I see the value in groups like that, where yes, you are with highly connected people, but I'm kind of in the process right now of thinking, is that a group I want to join? Like, how does that align with what I'm trying to accomplish in my business? How does that align with my personal boundaries? How much time am I going to have to devote to this type of a group? So there's a lot of factors that go into that. And Christy, back to your question, I think my answer would be do what works for you and the way you work.
Yeah, I'm with Maniba. I have like 2 dozen groups that I'm part of on social media, but there's really a core three that I go into and actually look for information or type in a question because I know enough from stalking the group, so to speak. This is where my question is going to be answered versus my question is going to be ignored in this group. Now I've kind of determined these work for me. I pop in, see what's going on, maybe twice a week. And then if I need extra help, then I'll jump in there and ask questions. But whatever works for you, wherever you feel like your people are, that's where your people are, and that's where you need to be.
Yeah, I agree. I've been a part of a lot of online communities and groups, and I have found that for my own headspace, I had to step back and evaluate basically each one of them that I was in. And I kind of went through this process of, are they helping me move forward with my business? Are we able to brainstorm and work through things and have good mastermind sessions? Or am I more like helping everybody else and I'm not getting the help that I need? And so I've had to reevaluate and step back just for my own headspace on which groups are going to give me the best accountability, which groups are going to help me. And it's not just about me moving forward, but I'm sure everybody's been in groups where it feels like really one-sided. There's always people coming in that they just want quick answers and then they don't contribute. They're in, they're out. And that's what I'm talking about, where for me it was about finding communities where it was give and take and not just give, 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 give. So the ones that I felt like it was just give, 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 I had to step back and say, okay, I don't think this is the best use of my time. And, if they need help, I'm here, but you can book through my website because, I've got clients. So I think finding that balance, and it's okay to say no. We don't have to be in every group on all the platforms all the time. I think as a strategic move, it's good to look and see what your needs are as a business and as a person and figure out what will help move the needle for you and then focus on that. I think that's the same with groups and communities and even platforms. Like, I'm not on social, so it's not a good ROI for me, but other people it works. But I think those are the things that it's okay for us to walk through that in our mind and put it on paper and the good and the not good list, or do, don't do, or whatever the list is. But yeah, so for me, it was just taking a step back and looking at the groups that I was in and if it was a good fit. Because I'm an introvert like Maniba. I am very much introverted, and it does take a lot out of me to be socially on, is what I would call it. And by that, I just mean I'm not comfortable. I'm the worst small talker ever. It takes a lot out of me. And so I definitely have to pick and choose how I'm going to spend my energy in that way.
I love that. For me, sometimes there's no in between. Either it's like, yeah, we're not doing small talk, or I'm trauma dumping on you, one or the other. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, this has been a great first episode. Thank you to everybody who stuck around and gave us a listen. If you have any topics that you want us to talk about, you can put them in the comments below and we can make that a future episode for you. But in the meantime, thank you for joining us. Thank you, Christy. Thank you, Maniba. And we'll see you on the next podcast.